You know where to find me when you're on your way out. Or bustle and busy, enough is enough. 'Cause life's sweet assemblages are quick to drift word away. Be still with me. You know where to find me for no particular reason. For stop traffic behavior or to get something off your chest. 'Cause we go a long way back to nothing at all. Be still with me. Won't you be still with me?
Hello, everybody, and welcome to What Do You Say Anime? I'm your host, Peter. On today's episode, we are doing our Christmas episode because we're terrible with planning. And on today's episode, we are reviewing the Satoshi Kon movie as our third Satoshi Kon movie, Tokyo Godfathers. Joining me first is Jonny. Jonny, how's it going today?
I'm doing well, thank you.
And as
Don't
all...
really have.
No, finish what you're saying.
I was just gonna say I don't have much to say, but now, just keep going.
All right, sounds good. And our first moderator is Miles. Miles, how's it going?
You know, it's going great, and I'm glad to be the first moderator. It would suck to be the second one. What a lowly position that is.
And our assistant moderator today is Pat. Pat, how's it going today?
I've been demoted. Oh no. To just assistant moderator. I'm good. Yeah, hello everyone. Good to see you all.
Assistant to the regional moderator.
Yeah. I'm gonna. You know, what, Miles, you're calling me out. Where's the Taylor Swift quote for today? Is there not one? I'm disappointed.
There isn't one.
Ugh.
No. I didn't. You know, there aren't really many Taylor Swift songs that touch upon these themes.
No. No Christmas Taylor Swift songs or anything like that.
Well, there is one in her most recent album called "'Tis the Damn Season," which is about going home for the holiday season and being able to like get it on with your hometown guy, which doesn't fit the theme of this song.
For this movie, yeah, no, that's fair enough. Well, 'tis the season, though, obviously, on January 11th, that we are covering Tokyo Godfathers by Satoshi Kon. It was a movie that was released in 2003. Very, very famous. One of the more, probably one of the main movies that got really localized, even for the United States, way back in 2003. You know, like there were all the Ghibli films, and then I'd say this is one of the ones that, at least if you were watching an anime movie when you were growing up without knowing it, this was one of them. You know, it was like this or Spirited Away. So I never saw it going into it, but we're just going to do some our usual introductions or first impressions, what you liked in general about the movie, what you thought about it going in, or I just start with Miles.
Yeah, sure thing. So, you know, the only time I'd ever heard of this movie actually was on a different podcast where they do like sort of reviews, and I'm blanking on the name of the podcast currently, but Anime Out of Context, and they did this, and you know, I mean, it sounded great and everything, but like just judging from like the visuals and stuff, I didn't think I was gonna like be in love with this movie or anything. Unlike the other two Satoshi Kon movies we watched. 1 second, sorry.
Oh.
That's something stuck in my throat.
Yeah.
This didn't look like, you know, mind trippy or bendy or anything. So I was like a little, you know, sort of lower on it. It took me a little longer to get around to it, and I was wrong. I love this movie. I fucking think it's fantastic. You know, so I had an awesome time watching this. It was just super pleasant and super fun, and I loved all the characters, and I loved the movie, and I think it's great. And watch this movie.
Awesome. Johnny, what do you got?
Also, unlike Miles, so I've never heard about this movie before. So going into it, same thing with Perfect Blue and Paprika. I didn't really have any expectations. So knowing those two movies, I expected this movie to be like have like some of those trippy themes, which I was surprised that it didn't. It was a completely different feel. And this might be unpopular, but I actually think that part of it makes it more enjoyable because I don't have to think as much about like what the hell is going on. It's very simple, and like the story is it's simple, but like it does its job. It's fun to see these characters goof off and do these things, and yeah, I would recommend it. It was a great time watching it.
I definitely agree that it's not. You don't. Yeah, it's definitely not as hard to follow as Perfect Blue or Paprika. It's definitely not that kind of movie, which is what I don't think you're wrong by saying that was what was more enjoyable about it. For sure. Pete, what have you got?
Yeah, I was really. I mean, this is Madhouse. It's my favorite studio. It's Satoshi Kon, who's probably now my favorite director. It was really interesting to see the change of pace since we've done 2 psychological movies from him, and now we have like this Christmas themed story about like redemption and addressing your past and family and all the themes. And I really liked how everything was put together. This movie was like really good, and I think it showcases how great Satoshi Kon is as a director, able to switch his tones. Because I mean, his most famous like works of art, I'd say, probably are the psychological, the Perfect Blue, the Paranoia Agent, the Paprika. Even though Tokyo Godfathers is popular, because the one thing anime really lacks in terms of us in the West is Christmas, and where Christmas is not big of a deal in Japan as it is in the West. So it was just really interesting to like see those type of like the themes that he put into this movie.
Yeah, that's interesting. So, would you recommend it?
I would absolutely recommend this movie.
All right, good. I am gonna echo that. I would recommend this movie to anyone who likes anime and is from the West, because I think it does a good job of taking Christmas and playing with the themes of it, and the setting is great too. You know, with all the lights and the snow, everything else is fun about it. I really liked all the characters, like everyone else was saying. They're all enjoyable, and they none of them are too absurd. Um, I think in general it is just a fun movie. I really don't know how else to just describe it, at least in like a general sense. There are hidden things. I bet if I rewatch this movie, I'd notice so many things that I didn't on the first watch through. And even then, I saw a lot of little visual hints. Like Satoshi seemed to really like to put these visual hints in the story that show you what's going on. So, a lot less, uh, I guess, maybe threatening or I don't know. So like Perfect Blue is a little bit more of a
Sinister.
sinister. That's a good way to put it. Like those kinds of hints versus this is more just, oh, like, oh, be on the lookout for this, or oh, this is what's going to happen at the end. So um overall, I think I would absolutely recommend this. I loved it. I really really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it more than Perfect Blue and Paprika, even, I would say. Even though they're very different movies, I enjoyed this one objectively more. So that's I think that's saying a lot, because I really liked Perfect Blue a lot. So yeah, all right. I think that wraps up our spoiler-free section. So going forward, this will be our spoiler section. We'll discuss further things about the movie as a whole. So if you don't want to be spoiled before you watch it, go watch it. If you're in the West, in the United States, I know you can watch it on Amazon Prime very easily. You can rent it like I did. Anybody else? Good luck. Don't know the answer to it, but yeah. Does anyone want to throw their first thoughts out there about the movie? That now that we're in the spoiler zone.
Yeah, I guess like the main thing that I took away from this movie, is that I guess like it kind of reminded me of, and this isn't a perfect analogy, but like it sort of reminded me of Slumdog Millionaire, um,
Ooh, yeah.
That's a good
where
one.
while like the fantastic events that are happening in Slumdog Millionaire are in the past, and he's like recalling all of them. In this, it sort of felt like actively watching the, like I could see like Miyuki being on, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire or whatever it is in Japan, and like getting asked random questions about various like events, because there's just all of these like ridiculous happenstances that like led into each other, and none of them happened in like um insanely absurd ways, but it was still very like fantastical how everything happened. um and then like while they're going on this trip, there are like all of these like little morals you learn. The characters develop extremely well. And you just like get to know these, this group of people, this group of 3 people, just like really, really well on this journey. And I just had like great time going on it with them. Like I think it does a good job of empathizing these people who have all, made various mistakes in their lives, but it humanizes them very well. And I loved it. I thought it was great.
I agree for sure. I think the word you used, humanizing these people, that sometimes it's when you walk past a homeless person on the street, you forget that this was a person that had all these different things going on. Has a very storied past, and like they highlighted that so well with these 3 characters. They the homes the cardboard boxes or whatever you want to say that they were living in still had bits and pieces of their past and their personalities. They still had memories of their past. They still had their bad traits, like drinking alcohol for Gin, or which I think is fun that his name is Jin or Gin
Yeah.
in English. That was clever. I think that was I think that was so well done that they, again, like I said, there were those pieces that you could see that were kind of there to tell the story for you, or rather than having to delve deep into it or literally hand it to you. It was exposition without exposition visually rather than like through actual events happening in the show. What about you guys, Johnny, Pete?
In terms of like things that like stood out and things I really liked, I'm trying to think of like. I really liked the cast of characters. I thought they were like Miles said, it was a fun adventure going along with these people. Such a diverse group, but you saw kind of like how they were like maybe like a family. They were like, you kind of have to stick together. They're in very unfortunate circumstances, and they had to bond together, and they became this like homeless family together, and they found like this child, and just like the message it sends with the child. I really like that. I like Miles's example when he talks about like the unfortunate circumstances that happened, and then just how it progressed the story. It wasn't like super forced, but like it was really fun to just see like naming the kid that they find Kyoko, Hana does, but just happens to be like Gin's daughter's also name is Kyoko, and it's like little things like that where it's like was it like, I think there was just like a quote in the movie, at least in the dub. I watched it dub, but they said
a good dub.
Yeah, it was a very good dub. They said something like how in such a big world we find so many small like connections or something like that, where it's just like, yes, there's 7 billion people in the world, but like how many times do you be like, oh, that's a small, like, oh, you know that person, I know that person, what a small world type of thing. And like this was like that essentially like that analogy as a movie, and I really enjoyed that. It was really fun.
Yeah, I agree. I forget what it was in the sub, but it was a very similar, like to it's a small world. Like that was the equivalent of that moment in the movie. So just one thing I noted, because like of course when you're covering such things like homelessness, and then also a person who's transgender as well, it's hard to speak properly about it, or not have it, and you have to be careful not to portray it in derogatory ways. And I think this movie, especially for a movie made in 2003, like I was listening for the most part, trying to like find problems with it, and I really couldn't. Like they make fun of the transgender cast member Hana. Is it Hana or yeah, Hana.
Hana, yep.
Yeah, so like Gin will take digs at Hana, calling him calling her, sorry, a like, oh, a tranny or whatever. But it'll never be like something that didn't feel like it was an actual thing that might happen when they were talking. It was never and the experiences that Hana had, I don't think were anything that were unrealistic, I guess, if that makes sense. And yeah, but you still also see them being respected for who they want to be and who they are amongst their own peers, or
Yeah.
just in general as well. I don't know if you want to go ahead, Miles.
Yeah, no, I was gonna, what I liked about it is that, we see Hana go back to like, I guess like her home sort of thing with some sort of family that had fostered her at some point, and the respect that she gets there as opposed to when she was with like what then Gin gives her, because they have this sort of ribbing relationship or
Right.
whatever, and he's a not the most cultured individual or whatever, um is nice. And I never thought that, like, she was never played for like the butt of the jokes, really, or not a lot at least, because she was trans, which is very good, and it's extremely impressive that a movie in 2003 did that, because that's an issue that the whole world is pretty far behind on still, and that we're trying to work towards. So it's good that they did that, because it was something I was a little on edge for, because you just don't want to, like, it's not, older media does things like that, but it's always a little cringy when you like notice things like that, and it's good to not have that happen, in my opinion.
For sure. Well, yeah, because like you'll sit there and you'll watch a movie from 10 years ago, and you'll hear, oh that like oh well that's so gay or something like that, where it's just like nowadays you hear that and you're just like how can someone speak that way, or what a improper way to speak, and it stands out to you now when you're just watching those old things, when back then, I mean, even me back then 10 years ago, I wouldn't have even fluttered an eye to it, which of course was because I didn't know any better at the time. But it's nice to see that this movie, and Satoshi Kon and the writers behind this movie clearly understood the struggles that these people go through and didn't harp on it. Again, like they had the digs where Gin would make fun of Hana, but again, that was more the two of them going back and forth rather than an actual attempt at, like, dehumanizing.
It wasn't
or
malicious or anything like that.
Yeah, it wasn't like an attempt to, in a malicious way.
Yeah,
right?
it kind of reminds me of like how you can like fight your brother, but if someone else fights your brother, then you're gonna beat that person up. Like, it's like I can dig at Hana for being trans, but nobody else can. But it's because like that's how tight I am. And I thought it was really interesting just because of like how conservative like Japan is, especially in 2003. Because there was, I mean, it's a big thing with like the trans and like LGBTQ community, that like homelessness in that community is humongous. Like it's a huge deal. And I thought it was I mean, just looking back, like in 2003, the portrayal of like a trans homeless person in such a great tone is amazing. Like, I didn't realize that now until we started talking about it, like how great of a character Hana is now. Wow, like this is like, I'm glad we talked about this, because now I'm getting a way better appreciation for Hana and Satoshi Kon.
Yeah.
The only, I guess, mark is that she does have a male VA. And so, I think it would, if you were doing this in a more modern setting, you would probably want a female, or like a woman, like a trans woman.
A trans woman, sure.
To voice her or whatever. But like, it was 2003. I'm willing to forgive that.
Yeah.
That's, anyways.
It's more realistic if it's a male, though.
No, well, because like, we don't have her whole backstory or whatever, but like, trans women take like vocal lessons and stuff, and like sometimes the voice is like the hardest thing to, like, I guess, like, quote unquote pass for generally, but like,
voice actor. You watched the dub, right?
Yeah.
Well, so I watched the sub, and it's probably because of like I don't really understand the Japanese language that well, but like I thought it sounded like feminine enough to where it's like it sounds like you're trying to be.
No. So
I guess if you saw the dub, then it's probably a different.
No, it's not that. It's not. So Johnny, I think you're misunderstanding. So he's not saying that because I agree with you that the sub voice actor did a good job of trying to sound like a person with a generally masculine voice, trying to sound like a more feminine, I guess, if you will. What Miles's point is that they didn't actually have someone who actually transitioned, like a male to female transition person, to be that voice actor, like or actress, I guess. That was what Miles's point was. It wasn't that it was poorly done. It was just that it could have been done by someone who
just
actually had it, just to have that representation, right? Just like how when you have an LGBTQ cast member, you usually would want them to be acted or done by someone who is LGBTQ.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah, exactly. So But again, it was the voice
It was
acting. throughout the movie
2003,
was so
yeah.
good. It was
Yeah,
2003.
Yeah,
we
like,
don't
you
even-
can't really expect it from Japan in 2003. So like,
It's not even from Japan either. I don't think that
we don't do
in
it
general-
nowadays.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
we
in
still have
general, like,
issues in the anime community with that.
Yeah,
Not
Western
just about
animation, and
yeah.
Western TV,
people of color and stuff like that. It's like, yeah,
Everywhere,
if the
yeah.
character is like colored, maybe not have Scarlett Johansson play a colored person. Like, that's all I'm saying.
So yeah. Other than that, the voice acting and I think the characters themselves were so well done. Like the when so I don't know. Did they have Hana sing in the dub?
Yep.
Oh yeah,
They did. That was so
in the
good.
flashback.
Yeah. Oh well, not even just in the flashback. In the movie itself, like in the
walking on the
first like
train.
5 minutes, yeah, when they're walking down the train track, she starts singing, and even before then too, she starts singing the God, what was it? It's an older song. It's a biblical, or not biblical, but it's a
Silent Night.
no, well, she does sing that too, but there's another one too that she sings, and it's so good because it's like, again, it sounds like someone who is trying to sing in a certain way, and it's really well done. But even then, when they're arguing with Gin and Miyuki was really good at all their sarcastic quips. Again, I don't know. I get you guys had different stuff because of the dub versus the sub, but you can tell even when you're listening as a sub or reading the sub, you can tell like when the voice actor does their the enunciation in a certain way or puts emphasis on certain words. It's like this was really well done, especially with the animations of the faces too, like all their different facial expressions were really good too. I guess that was my main point.
I have a quick amendment to make. So I had looked up the Japanese VA, but in the dub, she is voiced by a trans woman. So
Wow. All right.
Yeah.
Let's go.
so that is fantastic. And that's so I don't know why. I just like looked up the Japanese one and I was like, it'll probably be the same for the dub. Like they'd probably just do it, but no. So shout out for the dub, which I think was made recently, actually.
Yeah, I wonder when it got dubbed.
2020.
Oh,
says here.
jeez. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. It got released it was being advertised. I remember that it was going to be released.
Oh, that's right. They were doing it in like the movie theater
theaters,
rotation
in
thing. Yeah.
theaters.
I forgot I was going to go to that. And then,
What a
it was
year.
just dubbed last year.
yeah, it was dubbed last year.
Um,
Well, good job,
Yeah.
G Kids, for switching your tone from not making terrible intros to One Piece and having representation in anime.
okay, so that's good. Sorry. So, what was I wanted to correct that because I wanted to look up. I was looking up her singing, and then then it had clips of the actress like singing. So.
Oh yeah, no, there's that too. That was a really good scene too. And then she's like, you can call me old or something, but you don't call me, don't call me sir, or it was something like that. I forget what the
It was like, "Don't call
actual
me
concept.
ugly."
It was fairy in the dub. It was like you can call me like old, but like don't call me a fairy or something.
Yeah,
like that.
it was like, yeah, I think it was like, don't call me something male or
Yeah.
which of course is a good thing that she stood up for herself, and it was but yeah, so like that, her character was so well done, I thought, because it they didn't make her perfect by any means either as a person, like she still had her flaws as a human, and
She did kind of kidnap a baby.
she
Yeah,
did.
this movie could have been solved really, really quickly if they just handed over the baby immediately.
Which was
wait, what? She kidnapped a
Well,
What
they
do you mean,
find the
like-
they find the
It was
baby and
already
they keep it.
abandoned. It's not kidnapping.
Well,
said
it
she
kind of
kidnapped
is.
the
It's
baby.
yeah, it's kind of
If you
kidnapping.
If you find a
Are
baby,
Well,
you-
like, if you find a kid in the middle of the street and you take
Okay,
it, are you kidnapping?
Johnny,
or are you
it's not
taking it?
finders
it's
keepers,
not a
losers
cat.
leapers, bro. Like,
I think Gin even says that it's not a cat. It's it's a child.
Yeah.
You should
Oh,
put
wait,
it
all right.
in
So I was gonna say, all right. I just want to make sure I didn't miss
All
a
right,
scene.
hold on.
You guys
Oh, no,
were
hold
referring
on.
to her picking her up when she is in the trash That is what you were referring to, and then
No,
keeping her progressively.
I'm referring to the second part. The part where you save the baby from being in the dumpster is very good, and I wouldn't blame anyone for that, and I wouldn't view that at all as a personality flaw.
But it's the
part
straight,
where
not going straight to the police.
Yes,
All right,
yes,
that
the part
part.
where you attempt to
Okay.
convince your friends to raise the child as your own is where.
Fair enough. Yeah. No, but even then, so even her being flawed like that and making up the reason she thinks that way is because she went through fostering and didn't have good foster parents or didn't have a good foster experience and didn't want that child to suffer through the same thing, which of course you can make that argument, which of course the cast did. How is it better to be living with homeless people than it is to be bouncing between foster homes? That's the point, is that like they're both they both have a point and they both have logic, but at the same time you need to doing what's right would have been to bring it to the police.
No, I mean, what this movie does a great job with, and I think that the best example, at least for me, is Gen, because I think he has like the least I don't know, like gray backstory sort of deal, where he's like a deadbeat dad who was in a bunch of gambling debt and who became an alcoholic and like left his family because he couldn't deal with that anymore. And he still is, despite all of that, a pretty endearing character. Like I never think like, wow, fuck this guy.
I never did either. Yeah.
Yeah, he.
I did once.
What scene was it? What was
the hospital scene with his daughter, where it's why Hana freaks out at him, where you realize that because in Gin's character, like you find out like he lost his family, he's an alcoholic, he had debts, and he's like a compulsive liar because each time it's a new story. First it was like he was a cyclist, and then his kid died, and then his wife died. And then it went to him being a bike shop owner where his wife and kid are both alive. He just left them all with the debt. And that's why Hunter freaks out. It's like, we care for you and you're just going to lie to us so you can just like essentially like skate by with us type of thing. Where like, I don't know if Gim was like afraid where they found out like who he actually was. They wouldn't like him. I think he was ashamed, but it's just like, I think that's great about his character because like, a thing about like compulsive gamblers is they're also compulsive liars, and he is a compulsive liar. He just always does things in the moment to whatever suits him the best, and I really like that until he saw his daughter, and then that kind of changed things.
Well, even before he sees his daughter, he comes kind of clean. He comes clean about it to Miyuki, right? Not Hana, who is currently hospitalized.
Well, there's a scene in the hospital because he kind of comes clean with Miyuki, and then when he's telling his daughter about the store, Miyuki like straight up says like, "I thought he was a cyclist to Hana." So so like he like half told the truth and it was like a half lie.
Well, he didn't lie. He didn't amend the lie, right? Like he told the truth about the currently relevant information, which was my family is still alive. Again, I'm not saying that the man's gonna win the Nobel Peace Prize or anything anytime soon.
He's not with the Father of the Year, yeah.
But I think an interesting thing about that is I don't even know if I would call him a compulsive liar. He definitely lied. That's 100% true. But an interesting thing to me is that these people did not know each other's backstories until this trip, and they had been living with each other for a while at the very least. Because Miyuki had been gone from her family's house for like a year and a half or something like that.
Was it really a year and a half? I didn't know that. I thought it was just long. Well, it was long enough that she lost weight.
That was a detail that I really liked. That when they had the flashback, she was like kind of fat.
Yeah, that was great.
So it just like shows how like she's eating way less and sort of struggling to get nutrients and stuff like that.
I like that too. That's why I noticed it. That's why I was like, oh wow. So she must have been gone a long time. I didn't know that they actually gave the.
I was just guessing based off of that was
your hunch.
My hunch. Yeah. So I thought that like they didn't know each other's backstories until all of this, and they've been living with each other for a while. So like, I think that Gen's lying was just like him not willing to like show his flaws and vulnerableness to the people, as opposed to him being like a inherently,
Sure.
you know.
I should say that like the trait of a compulsive gambler a lot of times results into a compulsive liar.
Yeah, I mean, I would, I wouldn't put it past him to lie when it suited him. He seemed to be the kind, but when it came to it, he was able to sort of confront his daughter
Yes.
and, you know, apologize and, I mean, he put effort into it. He was a homeless person and raised what, 30,000 yen, which is what, like $3,000 or something like that.
$300.
It's $300.
Yeah.
Okay, which is
That's a lot for a homeless person.
It is, but also mad props to the Japanese healthcare, where you're exiting the hospital bill without health insurance only costs $300. Oh my
If you
god!
get a refund, yeah.
Yeah, you get a refund if you have your health card or your health insurance card.
Let's give a quick shout out to our
Imagine paying for,
Yo.
imagine paying for healthcare.
yeah.
Yeah, Johnny.
Imagine.
Imagine calling an Uber instead of an ambulance. Like,
I can't say I have not done that.
Welcome
myself,
to
so-
the U.S. Healthcare Podcast. Today, let's talk premiums.
moving on before we get political.
It's actually no, that's a funny story. I took it wasn't from drinking though. It was from peanut butter and a peanut allergy. We took an Uber instead of an ambulance because it was cheaper.
Yikes.
Well, I mean, it wasn't an immediate emergency, so that's different. But still, it was like, oh well, took an EpiPen, but might as well get there. Might as well go anyways.
Boring dystopia.
Yeah, yeah. Not that
Just
big a
in
deal.
case I die.
Yeah, well, that's literally what the person was like. Yeah, just in case it doesn't work, might as well go. But yeah, moving on. One thing I liked as well from the story was that they used the story of the red and blue giant, or I don't know if it changed a lot between different Japanese folklore or different iterations of it, but the reason I know this story is because it was used in Darling in the Franxx, while also being used in other shows in the past. But Darling in the Franxx is the one that stuck with me the most, which was the story where I can't remember which color it was, but I'm just gonna go with it. So the red giant wants all the people of the village to like them, right? And wants friends. So the blue giant comes up with the idea of scaring the people, and then having the red giant come and like stop him or shoo him away, scare him away, so that way the red giant is then a hero, right? And then the people will like him. That is they used that story during this movie at a certain point, and I really liked that. And I thought it was interesting though that they left out a bit that was in every other iteration of this story that I've seen. Again, I've seen it like 2 or 3 times in anime now, other than just Darling in the Franxx. So it's definitely a common Japanese folk tale. Normally, the red giant, or the person who becomes the friends with all the villagers, is like, or realizes on reflection that they miss the blue giant, and they go looking for that blue giant, and they can't find them ever, because the blue giant went to a faraway land to avoid ever being seen again, and for the sake of the red giant. And it's usually a story about reflecting on the people that you have. Be thankful for the people that you have in your life at the moment, rather than wanting to have other people like you. Being yourself and being friends with the people that you were friends with, rather than trying to make other people like you. I don't know, Pete. I know you've seen Darling in the Franxx because you love to hate on it.
Yes, I do.
So do you remember seeing that story, or have you seen it in
Yeah,
other shows?
I mean,
Yeah.
it definitely is prevalent in Darling in the Franxx, since 02 is red, and then the Queen of the Calaxors, or whatever it is blue. So that's like the terminology there. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it's more like your quality over quantity type of thing. Do you want one best friend or 10 normal friends? And I thought they did a really good job in this movie explaining it, or like portraying it. But like you said, they missed a part. But that wasn't really like a huge theme for me, I guess. So I guess maybe you liked it more than I did, I guess, type of thing.
Oh, well, I liked it because it was shown when it was shown in the story. It was what was happening. Gin was, or Hana was wanting to do, or wanting to take care of the child or whatever, and it was driving away Gin, or I don't know, maybe I just remember writing this down in my notes that I really enjoyed this because it was reflecting what was going on in the story. But that's also why I wrote it down, because I expected the follow up to that. I expected again, I'd seen it multiple other times. I expected the Gin to just vanish, which of course they kind of like cheated it a little bit by having him get beaten almost to death in the story, and I thought that was the direction that was going to go in, but they ended up reunited anyway, so that they kind of didn't really fully deliver, I guess, on that folktale. But again, who knows? Maybe maybe there's multiple versions of it, similar to like a Little Red Riding Hood or something like that, where some endings happen this way and other ways they don't. I don't know, Johnny. I know Johnny. You've seen Darling in the Franxx as well?
Yeah, I have.
Okay, I know. But yeah, that. Anyone else got anything to throw out there?
A thing that I thought was neat was the scene in the cemetery. Just because it showed like a neat, I guess this wouldn't be as neat if you were Japanese. But like I didn't know about how, all of like the tributes and stuff that get left. Like,
the offerings.
Oh yeah, the offerings. Yep.
Like here in the West, like you generally leave flowers or whatever.
Yep.
But it seems like a lot of like practical items get left. And so I guess like the pillaging of that, I thought was like really cool, because it's like very, it's just done very like nonchalantly and matter of factly, like this is what we do to survive and stuff. When it's, I guess something that would probably be considered a relatively big social taboo to.
Very big.
Massive, yeah.
Yeah.
And they show it too, though, that they feel that way. When they steal, like Hana goes, "Oh, what are you doing? Like, how could you steal like that, or something, or how could you be so ungrateful?" I think she says to Jin when he complains about something. Something about what they were pillaging, which of course it was cool to see Gin again before he took the sake bottle that he found. He did a prayer or whatever for the person. I thought that scene was really, really good because it did show like their desperation while also showing a very real thing that probably happens in Japan or probably happens at a lot of cemeteries and wherever people leave offerings like that. But at the same time, the whole theme of the movie that Hana was pushing was that there was a god is watching out for Kyoko, right? That they were that this baby was blessed by God, and I liked that these offerings to the gods ended up helping Kyoko eventually get back home, and I thought that was a really nice touch. Like that it was even though they were looting, they were doing it with I don't know. It's got whatever.
Chaotic good.
Sorry, say that again, Jay.
Chaotic good. Is like the D&D thing?
Oh yeah. No, yeah. There you go.
So one thing that I liked about this movie was that like random crazy shit happened in the background or whatever a few times, and it was always like relatively pertinent to the plot. Like there would just be like a car accident or something like that happened like
immediately. It happened right
And-
away in the show too. Or
Yeah.
right away in the movie.
And I don't know. It was like super surreal to me because like those things like definitely happen, but like just having it happen randomly in the middle of a movie is like almost kind of more off-putting than like if you saw a car accident in real life.
Fun fact: I saw a car accident today.
See, was it off-putting?
It was really random.
Okay, well, maybe not.
Who expects a car accident?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't know. You're on the highway for a while. You might. But so the scene towards the end where the crazy fake mom is getting onto the bridge, it is like directed in such a way that I thought that was just a background scene that was happening.
With her jumping off.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
so good. That
I
was so
like-
good.
I was like, literally like, did that just happen? Like, did no one notice that? And then they noticed it, but it was like a long enough of a pause for me to,
Yeah.
just think that was a thing that was happening in
Well,
the
'cause
background of the movie.
They were saying like, "Oh man, this poor mother must be so distraught. She must have killed herself, or she must be about to kill herself."
Yeah,
And
you
it's like
see
literally the
woman
mother is
flying
about to kill herself. Which again, that was another twist though, was that she wasn't actually the mother. She stole the baby. Like that was a fun twist. I didn't see that coming
Oh,
actually.
you
Like,
didn't? So I don't know why, and I'm interested to hear from Johnny and Pete. that woman put me off from the moment there was any screen time for her, and I knew she wasn't the mom. I don't know about you guys.
I kind of had like a hint. I kind of felt that way. I don't know. It's just really funny, just like seeing those type of things, and like I don't know. Like my mom works in a hospital, and like hearing stories about people who like kidnap kids is like a real thing. So it's just like I could like this is for sure something that could easily happen, and it happens a decent amount of time, I guess, at least here in Minnesota. But like. I don't know. It's just crazy. But like, I wonder if that's actually the mom. Like, if your kid was missing, would you kill yourself? Like,
No,
I would.
it had been like one day.
One day. I was like,
It's like-
all right, I'm not going about to jump off a bridge just because my kid's been missing for 24 hours. But
I don't know if if it's a brand newborn child and they are missing, like
Why you say
might
why
be
you
so
say it like it's a
depressed.
car or something?
My thought
yeah.
is like, no, I'm not saying it's like a car. I'm saying that like I
I'm
don't know.
saying the way Pat described the
Oh.
baby is like
What?
brand new.
Well, yeah,
brand
like,
new.
it's
yeah,
a
my point was-
2020 Volkswagen baby.
got that
point
new
was that
baby
is a
smell.
my point was that it was a newborn, so you'd be for if if you're a 3-year-old, well I don't know, again this is a tough thing to try to defend yourself, but like if your 3-year-old got lost, you'd at least think, okay, they may be able to be, or a 6-year-old got lost, you'd be like, all right, they're not going to be dead after 24 hours. In the middle of the winter, your newborn is missing, and
Yeah.
they are not surviving on their own for 2 hours, let alone 24 hours. So you probably at that point, maybe you've given up hope. Again, people handle depression in different ways, so I think it made complete sense that she could have been about to do that. I mean, I hope I never have to deal with that, and I don't think I would
Yeah,
deal with it that way.
It's-
But I can see how someone would deal with it.
yeah, I'm not
that
saying
way.
it's like I don't know. Like someone committing
Wait.
suicide because their child died is not something that I couldn't empathize with. I guess I would think that like you'd wait like a little longer.
Yeah.
Um,
But some
uh,
people are impulsive, and
Yeah.
you know, but and like especially if you are, we're gonna get into this, so I'll try to make this quick. But like someone had to have stolen the baby, so like you hopefully think that at least they are taking care of it.
right.
So like, you know,
He
it's
was
not
the
like
one that stole the baby, so.
well, yeah, well, she was insane, right? Like she was crazy.
Yeah, and also she was insane, so it seems justified that she would kill herself after what we hear about what happened to her life.
She had I liked the scene where Miyuki was like oh god, I can't say Miyuki was
Miyuki.
trying to like talk her down, but she was terrible at it.
Yeah, she
because
was
she's
terrible
like
at it.
she's like a teenager or whatever who was just like it was like so like thought the situation was just insane. So she was like, you know, you can't do this. Also, you're crazy. What the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. And like at one point she's even like, you can jump. I really don't care. Please just give me the baby.
Yeah, she's like, yeah, she literally says in the dub. I don't know what it's like in the
doesn't care.
sub.
She doesn't care. She just wants to save the child.
The dub's like, give me the baby and then you can kill yourself. Like, it's fine. It's just like, what are you saying?
They didn't
But
say
I,
that
like,
in the
loved-
sub, but that
I loved it.
Child.
I thought it was so great because like what a high pressure situation for this kid to be in, and
Yeah.
you know she doesn't handle it super gracefully. I also liked how they had like the shitty boyfriend come and be like, we can like work through this or whatever. The girl jumps anyway.
It's like, fuck
I
that.
think that's what convinced her to do it. Honestly.
Yeah, it's like, well,
he
she
was
does,
like, "Oh,
she's-
we'll be reborn together," or whatever.
Yeah, she did seem to care about him, but she was pretty despaired. But I did like how it bought enough time for Hana to like help the situation.
It was like straight out of an action movie, though. Like.
Oh,
Well, that's
it
the
was-
joke, right? The joke, though, I don't know if they had that in the dub, but you're no action
Jin's
movie
an action
star.
star.
They
I
did
liked
have that?
how
Alright, good.
They got him on a bike and he was pretty good at it too.
Yeah,
Like, he was leaning onto the side of the isekai bus and he was just chilling.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah, he almost got fucking sent to somewhere.
I also I like how they echoed the left or right scene from earlier. Remember when they were like, "Oh, left or right," and they flipped a coin, and then when so he loses that bet and they go right. Same thing happens where they're like, "Oh, which direction did she go, left or right?" He says left, so then Hana goes, all right, we're going right. You're a terrible gambler.
Yeah.
And sure enough, that was the correct answer, right? And of course, the terrible gambling thing is actually a serious problem that he has. That he is a serious addict, but like it's played off as a joke so well in that scene because he is.
Here's the thing. Do you guys remember on the TV when they announced the lottery numbers?
Yeah, it's
Yes.
the numbers inside the old
In the
man's.
last scene, they show a lottery ticket with those numbers right next to Jin.
Yeah, it's in. It was
Yeah, it's from the old
bag,
man. Yeah.
from the
Yeah.
old man that he like did one last favor for with his sake or whatever. That was his lotto
Around with the
ticket.
boys.
That
Which
was a
is-
super surreal scene too, because they fake you out on him dying.
Yes.
Right?
It's
You
yeah.
the wind
Oh,
takes shit off down. Yeah, the wind chime.
He
Yeah.
wanted to die, but he just couldn't. Like,
And then, but like, he dies like 27 seconds after they fake
Yeah.
you out on him dying. It was,
Deadpool too. It's like when you want to die, but you just can't.
yeah, it was crazy. Like,
And
I
then
was
having
like,
his body get beat up and mangled afterwards. That was depressing. But
Oh, God,
again,
I mean-
very realistic thing
that was
could
crazy to
happen.
me too. Just those people just like beating the shit out of these poor homeless folks. Like,
That's a common thing.
no, I
Unfortunately.
know, but it's just,
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess like seeing it portrayed like that is just,
Yeah.
I mean, it was really brutal.
it was brutal
Um,
because the people took it so casually. Because like one dude's just like on the phone, it's like, yeah, we're gonna meet up with these girls after. Like, yeah, we'll be there like 5 minutes. Like, let me kill this homeless dude real quick. It's like
Yeah, they were.
these people are crazy, but like I believe it. Like I don't know. I've seen what's it called? Oh, what's that? What's that Christian Bale movie? American Psycho. It's just like he just kills homeless people because he's rich and powerful, and that's what makes him feel powerful. Just kill homeless people. So I was like, oh shit, this is some American Psycho shit going on right now.
Have you not seen American Psychopath?
No.
Oh, you should watch it.
Yeah, I gotta nominate American Psycho.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're watching American Psycho next week.
Yeah.
The anime titties.
I mean, I'm sure it's a good movie. I just
It's
you know,
incredible.
I just hadn't.
Incredible movie.
But
Yes,
yeah,
it's
it's
awesome.
it's very realistic because some people, they said it. I don't know if they said it in the dub. I feel like this is a deja vu moment where we keep doing this, but I don't know if in the sub it was, oh, we're taking out the trash, or we're doing New Year's
Yes.
cleaning, whatever. Which of course is terrible, but that's how they viewed it. That's what they thought they were doing, or they were taking advantage of the fact that they could do something like that and not go punished for it. There's no cops nearby to stop them, and even then, if there were cops nearby, would they stop them? Who
He
knows?
makes his own joke about it too, though. Again, makes his own joke about taking himself out and putting
Yeah.
himself in a dumpster, which was kind of funny because he's like,
So
I need to
funny.
take out the trash, and the guy like
He goes to
puts
the
out
police
little waste
station.
bin.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's like, that's not big enough.
That happens earlier. Yeah,
Um,
that was so good. I also liked the fact that the same cabbie was in the
Yes.
movie throughout,
But his
and
taxi got destroyed at the end, didn't it?
Yeah. He crashed
so.
into the
oh
building.
yeah, that was one of the car accidents I was talking. That happens off screen, so like they jump out of the car or whatever, and then you just hear this horrible car accident at the end. And then at one point, when someone else is like running up, that like wasn't in the cab, like Gen or whoever, it just like shows the cabbie sitting there, and all of this carnage just like standing there, like his entire livelihood has been destroyed because it has been.
yeah,
But it was just like played for laughs. It was really
I'm gonna
funny.
give it to him.
Yeah, and I liked their interactions too, where they're like, "Oh, I can't drive that way. Like, I'll die." It's like, "Just do it," and they're just yelling right at him. He's like, "Yeah."
You
He's
don't
like,
need to
"Okay,
die,
fine,
I
I'll
don't
do it."
care.
He's
Oh
like,
my
"Okay,
God.
fine, I'll do it. Again, I love that part of the movie, and the ending. So Johnny, you said earlier this week that you thought I wouldn't like the ending.
I thought you would hate that the father shows up at the last second.
and then it ends, right? No, so
Yeah.
this is quite the opposite actually, because I normally, like, I think I did it the last episode, or we talked, or it was during our season in review actually, where I talked about it with like Akadama Drive, where I hated the ending for it because there was no clear resolution. In this movie, what I think the difference is the fact that it is very clearly hinted that Miyuki wants to seek resolution and go back to her family, or at least make amends with them, right? And it is implied that the family wants her back too. It's the same thing where, like what we talked about earlier with the lottery ticket, they're gonna find that lottery ticket. Gin and Hana are gonna find that lottery ticket, and they're gonna be rich. They're gonna be millionaires. They're gonna be, and they're also godfathers. That was a cool little touch at the end. I liked that a
I
lot.
did like that.
That was so clever. But they, so those endings, even though it was open-ended and we didn't actually see Miyuki making up with her father or them being christened as godfathers or them cashing the lottery ticket, it is very heavily implied what is going to happen to them, and that, oh, they've made these changes in their lives, so they're going to be better people, they're going to be better prepared to be functional members of society, they've made amends with their pasts. Like, that's what that's why I love this ending, and I can see where you were coming from, where you thought that I would hate it because it was just, oh, big shock, end scene. But it's different in this case, and this is the example, I think, of how to do one of those kinds of endings where it just cuts off, rather than something like A Girl Who Leapt Through Time, or again, just to hark back to the previous seasonal Akudama Drive. I don't know, Pete, you're the only one who's also seen that show. What do you think?
Yeah. It's like Miyuki wants to like make up with her father based off of like her tone of voice, and she says like "Papa" and like a really like. At least this isn't the dub. Okay, he doesn't say like "Dad" or something like that. She's like "Papa." Like you could tell like in her tone of voice that like she misses her dad. Like she always loved her dad. It just like
Well, she calls him.
She calls him,
Try-
exactly.
just
So
try
that's my
to try
point.
to bring
Yes.
herself to.
If they didn't have that scene, then maybe I would have been annoyed, because it's like you can't tell whether she actually wants to be with him or not. Although you probably could have throughout the rest of the movie. That's why I liked it, because they gave hints and gave proof that she was trying to make amends. And the same thing, like with she sees her father take out an ad in the newspaper that says
Lucky's come home.
yeah, Lucky, or no, it was Lucky. See,
Angel?
it was Angel.
Angel, yeah.
All right,
Angel,
all right.
yeah.
So
Her
it
name,
was
the
Angel moved
cat.
up to. Yeah, the cat. Well, that's my point. So they showed, they showed in the cutscene too that it was their big fight, the snapping moment was clearly over Angel, and I think maybe her dad got rid of him, or shunned him away, whatever.
I think it was a misunderstanding. I think the cat might have ran away. And
cat
That's
just
what I
ran
think
off.
too. That's the
Yeah.
thing too. I was wondering if that was the case, but my assumption was like, oh, maybe he just gave it away so that way.
But then he in the newspaper said that Angel has come home, so I don't think it's like the dad regretting selling the cat or whatever. I think the cat just
Well,
legitimately wandered off.
again, I think it could be either way. I think it could be the father gave away the cat because he was sick of it, and then realized, you know what, me being sick of this cat isn't worth literally not having my daughter anymore. So he went and got the cat back and said, as a way to try to convince her to come home. I think, again, it could go either way though. It also could have been just that the cat ran away and she blamed her dad because she thought that he might have gotten rid of her. Again, that open-ended thing isn't like a huge problem. It's not like a plot driving device. It's just like a something that we stupid people who like to debate anime can talk about, or maybe reflect on and laugh at. Or
I wasn't confused about it at all. Like I knew what was going to happen. I just figured, like, since you had the history of like not liking those ambiguous endings, I thought you wouldn't like it. But I guess in this case it's different.
yeah, though I can see where you're coming from. Like, because again, it does literally. It's like we don't even actually see them be introduced. The Godfathers and the Godchild. They don't actually ever see each other face to face with the parents involved. Like, it's literally just mother. Dad, Miyuki, end scene, and it's beautifully done. I think, again, because of all the setup that they did for it, and the fact that there is a clear outcome, or a clear implied outcome, that then you can also it still is open-ended though. You can imagine, you don't know what they're going to do with that money. You don't know if they're going to find or even cash the lotto ticket. Do they go back to living their lives as homeless people, or not? Like, it's up to you to decide. But there's enough there that you can make your own educated guess, and there's like a real implied correct answer. That's what I liked about it. I don't know if anyone else wants to throw their thoughts out there about that.
Well, just talking about the ending scene, what I liked a few things about it. One was there was like stigma busting, right? So like the doctor or someone was showing the parents in to their rooms, and they were like, oh, we want to like see the people who saved our child, and the doctor's like, well, I've heard they're homeless,
Yeah.
and the parents are like, Who fucking cares? They saved our child. Like,
To be fair, who else goes searching in dumpsters besides homeless people?
that's I don't know. Like,
Garbage people when they hear cries. I don't know.
Jin called himself garbage, so
yeah, that's
There you go.
So like I appreciated that part of it. And like I feel like the whole movie did just such a great job humanizing it, and then humanizing homeless people, and then it is like wrapped up in a nice little bow right at the end there.
Right.
I also like that Kyoko happily crying is like the last frame. It's just like, and then it cuts. I don't know. I loved this movie. I thought it was fantastic.
I did too. I don't know. Is there any major talking point that we haven't gotten to yet that either of you guys want to talk about? I feel like I'm ready to give my my closing thoughts. If you are, there's no
we've got
best
this.
boy and best girl. You know, there's nothing like that to really talk about again because it's just a Satoshi Kon kind of movie. That's not going to be a discussion point. But what do you guys got? It sounds like you had something, Johnny.
How we talked about this movie for this long. We haven't even talked about the fact that they were involved in the middle of a mob boss. And,
Oh
like,
yeah, the mob
like
scene.
a whole
Yeah,
gang
no,
war.
There really
We
is just
never
so
even
much
brought
great
that
stuff.
up.
And I
had
loved the scene with the. I talked to Pat about this earlier, right? When the the hitman, whoever the like Latin American man
is speaking in Spanish. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Did you
then
understand him, by the way?
I should have talked about that. Yeah, so I'll take it over here from here, Miles. Yeah, so like the hitman takes him back, and it's his mother. Actually, it's not a wife; it's a mother. Of that the hit guy, whatever that they interact with. But it's intentional too, though, that they don't give subtitles for a reason because they want you to feel like Miyuki does, which is completely confused and having no idea what this person is saying. You know, because that's the situation they were in, and then them trying to communicate was such a fun scene. You know, with they're just trying to understand each other with different languages, and but for me, I could understand it because I've taken enough Spanish in my life throughout my 20ish years of education now, that I was able to understand. Now, not perfectly or fluently, but I was able to hear everything they were saying, and it was like it was really fun because I was hearing it and Miyuki wasn't, and I felt like I had a leg up in the situation. It was fun. I really enjoyed that aspect of it. Miles, if you have anything else to add.
yeah, no, I just thought that, like, I don't know, every scene in this movie I feel like I could talk about at length,
Yeah.
and unfortunately we don't have the time. It's just, it's just such an like, one, I really liked how it was showing like other poverty-stricken areas for, like, I guess minorities in Japanese culture or whatever. Because you have this homeless girl. She is literally homeless and lives in a box with two other homeless people, and she is afraid going into this back alley, just because of like how sketchy and stuff it was. But then when you got inside the home, much like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I thought that was great. Like how it was this like wholesome household where, despite, the son, I guess, being a hitman, like, they all cared about each other as a family. It was like sort of a parallel to our little trio, where they're in sort of like a stigmatized area. They're clearly living in poverty, and despite her own circumstances, Miyuki wasn't, as she was really sketched out at first. But then, she sort of learns the lesson that the audience is learning through them, through this other family, and it's great.
Yep, it's so good.
So Pat, I got a question for you.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so when they were speaking Spanish, like, did they ever say like why he was a hitman? Was it just because of money, or was it like?
No, they didn't give any real reason.
So, like, they didn't say a reason for why he did any of that.
Nope.
They just
Again,
talk about
it's just
family relations.
yeah.
Really.
They talk about family. They talk about father and their children and.
So like, what was he saying when she was straight up kidnapping her?
Oh, what he was saying. Oh yeah, no, he was just saying like stuff like, "Oh, calm down, like, or be quiet, or follow me." Like, I need you to follow me, stuff like that. Like that
Okay,
was
I
the
see.
general gist of things. That was it was a very panicked moment.
The cab driver learning that he like assisted in an abduction
Yes.
was super funny. When
Yeah.
they were driving and it was on the radio or whatever, and he was like describing the couple because they were asking about it, and then he like thought they were married or whatever, and
Yeah.
it comes on the radio that it's like, oh, this girl's been abducted by a Latin American man, da 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 da, and he's like, oh no.
Oh shit. Yeah.
It's,
He keeps driving, like.
yeah, he just keeps going.
Japanese workers are loyal. Like from that taxi driver. Wait, was it the same taxi driver?
Yeah, throughout
Yeah,
the entire
through the
movie.
entire movie. Yep.
Yeah.
It's an
Guy
absolute
involved in
shit.
all. I mean, like all this stuff happened in the span of like what 2 days. That guy must have had a hell of a weekend.
Is it Deadpool? Is Deadpool a movie where they have the taxi driver that continues throughout the
Oh,
entire movie?
yeah.
Yeah, what's
yeah,
the
yeah.
dope ender? Yeah.
So many comparisons between Deadpool and Tokyo Godfathers.
Yes.
My goodness, it's
Yeah.
almost the same movies.
They're essentially the same. It's a Western version of Tokyo Godfathers.
Character like kills people on a daily basis.
There
but,
is the Christmas version of Deadpool as well.
Oh man.
Okay.
Again, I don't know what else to say. Pete, did you have anything else you want to throw out
No,
there?
I just really liked how they tied literally every string into one story. That there were so many different things branching out throughout the story from these three main characters. And at the end, they all essentially came together. And I thought that was really cool that there was no loose ends. There was nothing like that. Like, even like this random, like, when Gin walks into the apartment and finds like that dude just like sleeping in garbage, like that tied into the story, like something super random where he was like, I really like that they were searching for one thing and it was a conclusion to another thing, and I really liked how everything was tied together.
I did too. All right, yeah. So I guess we'll move on to our closing thoughts and our final scores. Let me whip out my little scorebook here. It's not gonna be too hard to do the math today with only 4 of us. But don't worry, if you're missing certain faces, you'll hopefully see them this Friday when we do our special bonus episode, which we'll talk about after we do our closing thoughts. So stick around for that. Miles, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I love this movie. This is my favorite anime movie. I love all of the characters. Like almost every single one of these characters is probably in, I don't know, the top 30 anime characters I have. Yuki might be my favorite anime character. I love her. I think she's great. I love all of their interactions with each other. I love this entire movie. I love at the end of the movie how the city starts bouncing around and singing for some reason. Who cares? It's amazing. This movie's great. This movie's a 10 out of 10. I love Satoshi Kon. I'm glad that we have gone on this small sojourn where we just watch his movies most weeks.
Yeah.
It's been enjoyable.
I agree. It has been enjoyable, even if you didn't like it. I think it's been a good experience for you to have too. If people didn't like it, as I recommend everybody watch these films that we've seen. And it's not like he's got a really long filmography either, unfortunately, or discography where it seems like it's a hard thing to get into. There's really only 4 or 5 major films, and that's not a lot of work. So yeah, Johnny, what have you got?
Yeah, so this is probably my favorite Satoshi Kon movie. Better than Perfect Blue in my opinion. The characters here, like they're not like my favorite characters, but they're very great. I love all of them. There wasn't a single character that made me think, oh, I don't like this guy. And the story is great. I love how like everything comes together at the end. So many callbacks. Like during he sees how the husband was addicted to gambling, and he sees and he's so ashamed of him. It's like because of his own path. I love that, and all those little details. So yeah, this movie is a 9 out of 10 for me. The only reason I'm not giving it up to a 10 was because it does. I don't know. It's just because it doesn't stay with you for that long. After you watch it, I feel you kind of just move on. Well, maybe that's because I was watching some other stuff that day. So
No,
So,
I
yeah.
I get what you're saying.
the 9 out of 10.
9 out of 10. There you go. Yeah. So yeah, I get what you're saying. I didn't want to cut you off. I agree that it's not necessarily trying to be as deep or as provocative as something like Perfect Blue or Paprika, which you may come to expect with Satoshi Kon. So I can see what you mean by giving it a 9 out of 10 because of that. Pete, what have you got?
Yeah, I really liked this movie. It was a really fun adventure. I liked the characters, maybe not as much as Miles, where he loves Miyuki. I thought they were all like good characters. Wasn't really like blown away by any like specific character, but I thought they were all great. I thought they meshed really well for how diverse that they were. The story was fun. I like how everything was tied together. How these like little inconveniences or like whatever happens in the story all just like meshes into one big thing. It was just a really fun watch. There's nothing, I guess to me, nothing like, I wasn't like blown away by anything. So like I was trying to like, I was hovering in that 8-9 range. Like, which one is this? I think I'm gonna lean more to, I'm gonna give it an 8, but I would recommend this to like anybody. It was really fun, really good movie, and yeah, I really enjoyed Tokyo Godfathers.
Nice. So there we go. So Pete has it at an 8. Okay. So yeah, I am gonna echo most of the points that everyone else said. I had such a good time throughout this entire movie. I agree that these characters were all lovable or are all interesting in their own way as well. Um, yeah, I wouldn't put them in my favorite characters ever, but they had things that you could like about them, and they all did exactly what they needed to do to tell the story that they told. And again, I really liked the ending. Anime movies, for whatever reason, struggle with good endings. This one I thought was a fantastic ending. Um, I I don't really know what else to say about it. I loved it. I am giving it a 9 out of 10. It's not perfect. I don't think it's perfect by any means, but I really had such a good time with this movie. I was smiling the entire time, and the ending didn't disappoint me, which is such a different change of pace from most anime movies. So, based off of my math, that comes out to a perfect 9 out of 10 average between the four of us, considering we have uh, 2 9s, an 8, and a 10.
Yep,
So
that's our highest
uh,
ranked show now.
I was about to say that
Is it?
overtakes. Yes, it is. I feel like though, if we had more people rating, that would help it out. It is our highest rated show, just barely above Ping Pong with an 8.86 and Violet Evergarden with an 8.83. So there you go. So this is Tokyo Godfathers with a 9.0 rating by our podcast or by our crew from Watch Club. So yeah, that wraps up our discussion on it. Please go watch it. We really liked it. Let's see. We'd love to hear your thoughts about it too. If you guys were listening, please tell us. Please let us know what you thought about the movie. If we missed anything that you really liked about it, or your favorite characters, whatever, something like that. So yeah. Moving on now. We first before we get to the show that won this week, we're first going to talk about our Secret Santa episode, which is coming up this Friday. Like Pete said at the beginning of this podcast, we are terrible at planning, but thanks to fantastic ideas from some of our community members in Discord, we are doing a Secret Santa thing with the all anime club members, where basically we were each assigned a different show to watch, and we don't know who assigned it to us. Although you can usually make educated guesses on who it was, you don't know for sure. And we're going to come together and talk about each of those shows. So it's obviously not going to be an in-depth review like what we did with Tokyo Godfathers today, where we spent an hour and a half talking about this movie. But instead, it'll be a quick, 10, 15-minute talk. If anyone else has seen the show in the group, they might talk about it, give their thoughts, and also why each specific person recommended each specific show to each other. So I think that'll be a really fun episode. That we'll be recording that on Friday night this week on the God, what night is that? I think that's the 15th. Yes, it is. I'm excited for it. I mean, I know I had to watch Fate, or I have to finish Fate by then. I'm excited to finally finish it. It's been a bundle of joy. I know, Miles, you've been watching Mob Psycho, I think, right?
I have, yes.
And did you finish both seasons actually?
I am in the middle of season 2 currently. It has been a very enjoyable ride so far.
Which, keep in mind, these were only assigned like a week and a half ago too. So if Miles, the person who doesn't watch anime, has finished, are both seasons 24 episodes too?
12.
Oh, they're only 12. Okay,
Yeah.
so that never mind then. I thought it was two 24
That'd be
episodes.
crazy.
I've
Oh,
also
that's my
watched
point.
like
It would've
8
been
episodes
crazy.
of Log Horizon. I've been on an anime kick lately.
Look
Dude,
at
Miles
this,
is a
man.
changed
So,
man.
wow.
New year, new Miles.
Yeah, maybe he's finally a fan of anime after all these different shows we forced him to watch. But Johnny, I know. What are you watching? You're watching.
I'm watching Devil May Cry Baby. I am about halfway through, and I will get the rest of that finished.
No. There's no. I know you guys will finish on time. You're not me.
It's horny
all
as
that
hell.
stuff. Yeah, it's quite a show.
It
It's
is a show.
That is actually my favorite anime.
Yeah, there you go. And it's barely
so-
anime, right? Like, no, just kidding.
Can't
It's
wait to
very
find out
crazy.
who gave it to me.
Yeah, I know, right? Pete, what do you have again?
Oh, I have the critically acclaimed not even rom-com, Love Triangle, White Album 2.
That's right. Yes, you do. So there we go. So if you're interested in any of those shows and want to hear us talk about it, I mean, most of us have seen the shows we've talked about, and it should be a fun discussion. We'll have some older club members like Tyler in there, and Happy will be hanging out too. It'll be a really good time. So if you guys want to check that out, that's coming out this Friday, most likely, if not Saturday morning. But yeah, so moving on, let's talk about what show we're going to be watching for our next meeting on the 25th of January. So this is going to be our 19th episode. So, what show are we watching? There weren't too many nominations, Miles.
There weren't. There were 5, which is one more than we'll have this week. However, in 7th place, picking up its second legacy point in 7th place, with 7 points in 3rd place.
What?
I was going to say 7th place. Is this a big roast for this show?
7th place out of 5 potential. No. We have Chinibio, and Other Delusions.
Okay, so that's 3rd place? Okay.
3rd place. 2nd place, with a resurgent comeback, we have Yuri on Ice. So Yuri on Ice, in a strong 2nd place, and in 1st place, we have
Let's go.
Persona 3 movie.
Oh, no!
We have A Place Further Than the Universe.
Woo!
Pete is very excited about it. I nominated this movie because I make fun of Pete a lot for liking it, because I'm not gonna lie, I think it sounds really fucking dumb.
It's amazing.
But the point of
good.
this show is for us to branch out and watch some stuff we normally wouldn't watch, and this is a show that I would not normally watch. And
No, it is not a show you would normally watch.
Yeah,
Yep.
I think that at the very least, my lovely fiance Kayla might like it.
Sick brag.
And shut up, Pete.
I think she'll enjoy it.
Yeah, and there's a chance that I'll enjoy it too. I've been wrong before. I was wrong about Tokyo Godfathers, and then I just spent an hour and a half sucking its dick. So,
yeah, I'm glad.
I love that movie.
Yeah, it was so good. It was really, really good. Speaking of which, I forgot to mention this, but this is one of the first times we've been like significantly higher than a Mal score. Mal scores has it at an 8.3 or an 8.29. So that's I'm surprised how far ahead we are. Which again, maybe if we had more group members this week, or club members showing up this week, it might have been a bit lower of a score. But we did a really good job, I think. I think that reflects the show and the feeling of the show pretty well too. So yeah, now we know we're watching A Place Further Than the Universe. That's probably one of our most modern shows that we've watched. Like Violet Evergarden is the only other one really that's come out in the past, like pretty much
2-3 years. Yeah.
2-3 years. I guess it's 2 or 3 years now, isn't it? Jesus.
Welcome to the
It
future.
feels like the show came out like a year ago to me. It's so crazy.
For 7 months. Not 7 months, actually. Actually, yeah, 7 months.
Yeah. Either way, we've been doing this for a while. So now we are going to do our nominations to be voting on for the next 2 weeks, going into our 20th episode. So Miles and I have decided, instead of suffering like we did the last time, where we did really terrible anime for our 10th episode, like a special theme or whatever, instead this time we're going to do a heavily requested theme in doing anime that are longer than one or longer than one movie. So normally we've limited ourselves to shows that are 12 to 13 episodes, or movies that are no longer than what a 12 episode core would be altogether. Now what we're going to do for nominations is you can nominate any show that is 2 cores or less, so 24, 25 episodes or less. This way there are some shows or movies that you might want to recommend for Watch Club that you couldn't in the past. This is your 1 week to do it. We may do it again in the future. It all depends. But now that some of us have some more free time, it's the beginning of the year. We felt comfortable enough to be able to do this theme without stepping on anyone's toes or taking up too much time. So yeah, Miles, are you ready with your nomination for this week?
I am. So I was scouring the Mal. And this stuff is pretty easy for me. I haven't watched a lot of anime. We meme on it pretty heavily here. But I'm going down all the way to the 177th ranked anime here, which is so far down, I know. But I'm gonna do Sensekai Yori.
Ooh.
Which is a show that I have wanted to watch for a while, because I have heard both very, very positive and very, very negative things about it, and it's got a pretty cool premise. So I wanted to see where I fell on that divide. and so I am throwing it up for nomination this week.
I also have heard very good and also very bad things about this show.
I'm
so
very
that's
curious
exciting.
about it. Yeah.
That's exciting. But yeah, no, I like that nomination. Johnny, what have you got?
Can you let Pete go first? I actually wanna.
Wow,
I'm kind of
Johnny.
stuck on deciding right now. No, I have shows. I'm just stuck on deciding between two. So why
All
don't
right,
you
Say
I'll go.
We sent out a
I have
Reminder.
shows. It's not that I don't have shows. It's I'm deciding between two.
Shake
You need
my
to flip-
head.
you need to
Shake
flip
my
a
head.
coin.
Do
Flip a coin.
Toradora, you coward.
Oh
Yeah,
no, that wasn't
don't
one of my
do that.
options. No,
No,
I'm not that normie.
I would pull out my moderator card and say no to that one.
Yeah, no.
Pete, what have you got for your nomination?
Okay, so this one I've been wanting to watch for a very long time, and it's because it has two very interesting, I guess, genres put together. And when you think of action, you don't think of shoujo, but this one is an action shoujo. I am going to be recommending the
Sailor Moon?
8.43 rated score on Mal, Banana Fish.
Oh, I
Banana
thought about
Fish.
Banana Fish. Good pick.
All right, so Banana Fish. I've heard good things about that. That seems like a pretty fun show. So yeah, Johnny, what have you got then? Are you ready? Make your decision. Flip a coin.
Right, here we go. It's heads. So I will go with see, I was trying to go through Mal, trying to find a 24 episode show that that caught my interest, that see, I wanted to pick a show that not many of us have seen. But that's hard considering Pete has seen about 300 anime and you
Like
have
450, but like, you
Oh,
know,
okay, 450. I guess I was underestimating. You have
How
seen
many have you
about
finished, coward?
like 370.
Okay.
and then,
Fair.
Pat, you've seen like
Like
200,
100.
I believe.
Really? That many? God, let me
I
look.
think from my count.
Yeah, just about 158.
So
so
I'm
wow.
gonna do something that's a bit personal. I am going to nominate the first anime that I ever watched. And that will be Teasing Master Takagi-san's both season 1 and 2.
Nice.
24 episodes in total.
Okay. And what was the other show out of curiosity?
That was Clanad.
Oh,
Okay,
thank
Like,
God
I
we
feel
did
like-
get
I feel like
Clannad.
if you only
Thank
watch the first
God.
season,
Oh,
it's not,
yeah, that-
not good. So no.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you picked the other one.
Me too.
Because
Yeah.
that would be easier to vote for. But yeah, so there you go. So that's two seasons, or that's a two season show instead of like a two core, I guess, if you will. But yeah, that still counts. Like what you said, it still counts. So now, I will go now. My nomination is a show that I have put off nominating mainly because it is a two-core show technically. Although it is not a full two cores, it's only 22 episodes instead of like your usual 24 to 26. This show I have heard is one of the best starts in anime history. Like it starts off incredibly, and then apparently crashes and burns. And I want to see what that fire or what that car accident looks like.
Good
It is.
sell.
I thank you. It is Guilty Crown.
Ooh.
Oh, God.
This show, the premise sounds phenomenal. The character, the OP,
The OP
really-
slaps.
The OP slaps.
The OP slaps.
This show I have wanted to nominate for so long because I need a reason to watch it. And I think talking about the ending would be really fun. It's the genre is, let me just double check. For one, it's production IG, so you know it's going to be one or the other. It's going to be really good at times and then really bad at
Are
times.
you getting the first half of the Darling in the Franxx or the second half of Darling in the Franxx?
Exactly. So there you go. So this is, well, that's the thing. There's people who say that like Darling in the Franxx has a bad ending. Oh, well, wait until you see Guilty Crown. Like I
Ooh,
cannot.
I'm intrigued.
I cannot wait.
I'm
to see this.
intrigued.
Action, sci-fi, superpower, drama, romance, and mecha all mixed
Have a
up
little
into one.
sister.
I hope not.
I hope not. I have no answer to that, Johnny. I literally know nothing about the show other than the OP slaps and all that I've said so far. I am so excited to give it hopefully give it a try. I'm very curious.
We have two
again,
dystopia options. We have Banana Fish and we have Teasing Master Takagi-san.
yeah. We've got a great set of shows to nominate or to vote on this week, which again, if you are listening still for whatever fucking reason, no idea why you'd still be listening at this point, but if you are, feel free to vote in the comments or join our Discord to talk about it, because like we would love to have more votes, especially if it's the same 4 to 5 people. It's going to be tough to vote on 4 shows. It's literally going to be us choosing what order we would want to watch the shows in this week, rather than actually having multiple options to vote for or leave off the list. So please give us your input. We value it a lot because at the end of the day, if we're talking about shows that you guys aren't interested in listening to, then that's not good. You know, we want to make sure your input is voiced as well. So thank you again for listening, and I guess I'll hand it off to Pete.
That's a good transition because speaking of getting your input, we're coming up
Yes.
in Anime of the Year territory. So starting next week, you will be able to vote for the What Do You Say Anime of the Year on like a Google Doc form. And if you do, you'll be entered into a drawing to win a $50 Amazon gift card. All you have to do is vote for your favorite shows. It's that easy. That way I get your input from the community, and then that way I can also give back for you participating. So thank you for everybody who listens. And in the future, thank you for everybody who participates. Like Pat said, we also have a Discord description, or the link will be in the description below. Join it if you want to talk anime, manga, sports, politics, I don't know, random, anything you can imagine we talk about on our Discord. Join it. We also are on Twitter. What Do You Say Annie? It's the best way to stay up-to-date information on the podcast. Yeah, and then stay tuned for our special Watch Club episode coming up later this week. And yeah, we got a bunch of content to work, so stay tuned. And thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.